Thank you so much for tuning in to DCRE TV. We have a great interview for you today. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab some coffee for me and my interviewee. Be right back. So I just grabbed some coffee from my favorite coffee shop in Philadelphia, otherwise known as Federal Donuts. If you've never been to Federal Donuts, they got a shop on Sampson Street that you have to check out. I got these coffees for my two interviewees today that I'm gonna be interviewing and providing their amazing story to you all. Thanks a lot for supporting DCRE. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and push that notification button. Jay, thanks a lot for joining me today. I really appreciate you jumping on and getting on DCRE TV to share your story.
Thanks, Niles, for having me. It's great to finally meet you virtually. I guess you wouldn't say in person, but just virtually this way. I know we've chatted on the phone a few times, so really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Honored to be on. I'll just jump into it. Yeah, my name is Jay Tanjuan. I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I now work for Scannell Properties as an industrial developer. I'm the director of development for the Southern California region for Scannell Properties, and started in January 22 to open up the first office for Scannell in SoCal. So it's been an exciting year and a half, to say the least.
Where's your company based out of?
It's headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indianapolis, huh? It's a good town.
Okay, Indianapolis.
The Midwest, yeah.
The Midwest, okay. And this is their first West Coast office?
First Southern California office. Yeah, so we actually have an office in the Bay Area.
Hey, that's that Bay. Yeah, that's that Bay.
And then, the company was founded in 1990 and hasn't had a physical office out here, done about 2.5 million square feet of built-to-suits in this region, but this is the first actual physical office, so it's been really exciting.
Awesome. Let's pivot back to you. Tell me about your upbringing, the origins of your family, where they're from, all the way up to like high school.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so my parents are from the Philippines, so I would be considered first generation. I always get that mixed up, but because I was born in San Diego, but my parents met in San Diego. They're both from the Philippines,
right?
And my dad just came over here on his own. He applied through the immigration, and he got his number called, and he came over here with really just himself, and he had a couple friends that he knew in the San Diego area, and that's where he ended up. But he was one of 9 in his family, so he was the only one to leave the Philippines, and it takes a lot of kind of fortitude and drive to figure out that, hey, I want to do something more. And so I thought that was really impressive, just for him to go out on his own and do that. And then my mom, she actually came to the United States because my grandfather was actually in the United States Navy. So back in the day, the U.S. had a naval base in the Philippines, and they recruited Filipino nationals to join the U.S. Navy. But during those times, they just had these Filipino nationals serve more of the lower level jobs and job functions. So they weren't allowed to do anything they wanted in the Navy. It was very, very limited to, is basically what they call a steward. So you're either serving food, or you're serving as a personal assistant to an admiral or something like that. So my grandfather was a steward, and he was serving food to midshipmen in the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis. So that's where my mom first moved from the Philippines. She moved to Annapolis. So, if you're familiar just with, somewhat with the Philippines and their weather, it's very hot, humid. It's kind of a jungle type environment. And then living now in the East Coast in Annapolis when there's snow and all that stuff. So I'm sure that was a big adjustment. So she lived there for a little bit, and then somehow found her way, I think with a few of her other sisters, moving to Southern California, to San Diego. So that's how my parents, they met.
So what was your grandfather's name?
I never even met him. His name was Francisco. Yeah,
All right.
Francisco Sugatan. Yeah.
Well, salute to him.
So,
Thank you for his service. And your uncle's name?
Cristiano, but we call him Noni.
Salute to Noni. Thank you for his service as well. And also, salute to all the Filipinos that served in the Navy. That's amazing, man. And any Filipinos that are watching this and supporting another Filipino doing this thing in the commercial real estate industry, we want them to like, subscribe, make a comment, shout out to the Philippines. All right, so going back to your story, you went from high school to the Naval Academy. What made you decide? Was it that family connection?
Yeah, so it was just really a number of things. I mean, the family connection was important. Just the thought, my grandfather actually serving midshipman food, when he was in the Navy, and then for me to now be in that seat, was really humbling. So I thought about that a lot as when I was there. But I think also there's other factors. I mean, I just, wanted to do something different. I grew up in San Diego my whole life, which was great. I love San Diego. Yeah. But I just wanted to do something new and kind of blaze my own path. And the best way to do that, I saw or thought at the time, was to travel across the country and do something very different that most people, in my high school, didn't do or anything like that. So I just wanted to do something unique.
Right.
And that's how I came about that decision.
Yeah, cool facts. I saw on LinkedIn that you posted. You actually played sports at the Naval Academy.
Yes. So I ran track in high school. I had a good track career. I was a high hurdler in high school.
Right.
But I was kind of lightly recruited by some smaller schools, and then some East Coast schools. But the Naval Academy didn't officially recruit me for track. I got accepted early to the Naval Academy based on academics and leadership and extracurricular activities. But during my senior year, I made a big leap in terms of my times, and brought my times down to pretty competitive levels. But by that time, it's a spring of your senior year. Most people have already committed.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to the Naval Academy anyway. So I was brought on and invited to the track team as a preferred walk-on.
Awesome.
So I wasn't officially recruited, but and what that means is basically, once they have tryouts, you're invited to come and try out, and we'll see if you make the team. But luckily for me, I think during that time, I just kind of lucked out. The hurdling group wasn't very deep when I started at the academy, so I was able to letter as a freshman. I got to travel, and so as a freshman at the Naval Academy, when you're getting off the Naval Academy grounds, that's like heaven. I mean, that's just to be able to do that, because that first year is very, very restrictive in terms of when you can go out, how often you can go out. And so just actually seeing civilians outside and wearing normal clothes and not uniforms was great that first year.
Yeah. So fast forward from, so you started the Naval Academy, you're doing track, you were walking on, congrats, you obviously did well, and then you graduate from the Naval Academy. Yeah. What happens after graduation for some people that don't know?
Yeah, so I graduated May 2001. President Bush was honored to be our commencement speaker that year. So I got to shake his hand, and he handed the diploma and everything. So that was a memorable experience. And so if you recall, timeline wise, May 2001, peacetime, and then shortly thereafter, September 11th, 2001, that changed everything. Yeah. Right. So it was very impactful. A lot of my classmates who were just expecting to go into, generally speaking, a peacetime environment, it changed drastically, and a lot of us would have to go in harm's way right away.
Right.
Yeah. So
And you served overseas, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So I was a supply officer, so I was in logistics and supply chain management for the Navy. I didn't know that I'd end up in logistics real estate, but it just worked out that way. So I was on a ship for 3 years, and I did 2 deployments during that time to the Persian Gulf.
Wow.
I served, as I mentioned, as a supply officer, and 3 out of the 6 years total that I was in there, I was on the USS Way City, which is a cruiser.
Okay.
And just for context, I don't know if anyone in the audience has seen Top Gun 2, but towards the end of the movie, the climactic scene when all those ships fired off the Tomahawk cruise missiles into the air base, that was a cruiser or likely a destroyer. So it was very similar to the ship that I was on. So
awesome.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, getting to travel and seeing a lot of the world and really understanding how people work and learning how to interact with many different cultures and ages and socioeconomic backgrounds. And so that was really an eye-opening experience for me. I mean, I think it's one of the good things about the military is that, and it's, a kind of a lesson for everybody is like, you think you don't have a lot in common with people that may not look like you, but when you drill down to it, you end up having a lot in common. I've made, lifelong friends that I still talk to today that, probably out in the real world, we may have not connected or our paths may not have crossed, but in the military, when you're going through difficult times or going through challenging times together, you end up learning a lot about the person next to you, and and hopefully it's good stuff, and you remain friends like I did with many of my sailors that I work with.
That's awesome, Jay. Well,
yeah,
salute to you too, brother. Thank you so much for your service. We really do appreciate everything you've done for this country.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. We have a brief announcement giving you, the viewers, an opportunity to support this program. If you've enjoyed this type of content, which highlights the achievements of a diverse set of professionals, you can support by clicking on one of the payment app links in the description below. I'm a Black man with a plan who teamed up with another skilled brother, and we've decided that there's not enough stories being shared of successful and progressive diverse individuals. For instance, if you haven't caught on already, I'm from Philly, and if you're from Philly too, see if you can answer these 3 questions. Who was the most popular Black actor from Philly? Okay, who is the most successful and well-known rapper to recently come out of the city of Philadelphia? Last one. Who is the most famous and highest paid comedian to come out of Philly? Now, you didn't even have to be from the city of brotherly love to know the answer to those questions, because anyone that's been paying attention to the American culture for the past decade knows who these fine gentlemen are. And it's a testament to the talent in the city I call home. Now look, I'm not trying to name drop, although I just did, but it helps provide context for the next set of questions. Check this out. Can you name one minority individual from the city of Philadelphia who has served or currently serving as a chairman or CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Who is the most successful minority banker, venture capitalist, and or entrepreneur to come out of Philly? Currently, who is considered one of the most distinguished minority educators, lawyers, accountants, doctors, or my personal favorite, commercial real estate developer in the city of Philadelphia? Don't know? Well, I don't know either, but I'm on a mission to find these individuals, interview them, and ensure that we all know who's who going forward. Okay, now that you get my drift, here's your opportunity to support the ongoing efforts to highlight a diverse set of professionals and to inspire the next generation. Eventually, we're looking to go across the country to speak with you or someone you know at the top of their game in their respective industry and has significant community involvement. Please contact me on LinkedIn right now. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for the latest videos on this channel. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video.
You serve overseas, and then you transition into civilian life. What was your first job after your military service?
Yeah, so I knew that the transition wasn't really necessarily going to be easy, so I felt like it was important to have almost like a buffer year to to figure out what's going to happen, or So I decided, earlier on, as I was deciding, making the decision to stay or leave the military, that I'd go into an MBA program to help with the transition. So that's what I ended up doing. My last duty station was in San Diego. I lived in many different parts of the country. I lived in Georgia, Maryland, Florida. So, being from San Diego, I felt it was time to stay in Southern California and come back home, be close to my family.
I don't blame you.
And then I also met my then girlfriend, now wife, in San Diego when I was stationed there. So my first kind of it was not necessarily a job, but like right after the military, I went to UC Irvine, just in Orange County, just about an hour or so north of San Diego, to get my MBA. So during that time, that's where I really started doing internships and meeting with a lot of people in commercial real estate. And I found out that, this sounds like something that I would enjoy doing. So I started to pursue it more, and I got involved with the real estate association at the school, and really opened up a lot of doors. And I would say during that time, I met with probably 300 people. Wow. Because I tracked it all, because if you recall, during 2007 to 2009, this is during really the Great Recession, when things really started to look bleak, especially for commercial real estate. Yeah. So I knew early on that I needed to do more than most people to be able to make a smooth transition. So what that meant to me was networking like crazy. And I really started to build up my network at that time from ground zero. I had no contacts, I didn't know anyone in commercial real estate going into it, didn't know anyone really in Orange County. And then so I just built my network, starting with UC Irvine alums that were in real estate, started with all the military veterans that were in real estate in the area. Right. And then I really started just branching out, as a student, you have kind of free license to talk to anyone.
So at least my next question, who gave you your first big break?
Started, as an intern with the Bascom Group, so I would say that helped get me some, experience, right. Because a big thing, when civilian folks look at military resumes, they say, okay, this is all great, but it doesn't translate. So
it's a catch-22 for sure.
Yeah. So we're looking for someone with experience. So my time with the Bascom Group in Irvine, they're multifamily value add folks, and so they have about, I think at the time when I was there, like 36,000 units across the U.S. So it was pretty impressive. And it was really great place to learn. And so I was there for starting out as a summer internship, and then they let me stay on for the remainder of the academic year. So on my resume, it looked like I was there for a year, because I was, but really only full-time for the summer. Okay. But it really got me good experience, helped expand my network even further. And then when I graduated in 2009, I was, there wasn't, development opportunities. There really wasn't a lot of full-time opportunities available in really any industry, because, this is the Great Recession, and everyone was greatly affected. So, but I knew I still wanted to be in commercial real estate. Luckily, found an opportunity with JLL. So I did office tenant rep brokerage right out of business school.
Awesome.
So that's, really a less than traditional path for post-MBA grads, right? Mm-hmm. So most don't go right into tenant rep brokerage, which is really, pure sales, and, there's a lot of cold calling and
always be closing.
But I believe, that was a great foundation for me to, build my network, and understand how to sell and market and brand myself, and really, build the foundation for the career that I think I have now. So, yeah, I think, not being afraid to hop on the phone and pick and call somebody that you need to talk to, I think is really important, because I'm talking to people every day. I call brokers all the time, call LP capital, call lenders, and so the list goes on and on.
Right. So then after JLL, what was the next company?
Yeah. So, I was planning on staying at JLL. I mean, I had my career kind of mapped out. This was what I was going to do. I love brokerage.
Ooh, yeah, I love it.
I still do. I think very highly of brokers, and I love that experience. So I wasn't looking at leaving at all, and then so this was about almost 2 years into it, where an opportunity came up to join Panattoni Development. This was 2011. People at this time were still in shell shock mode from the Great Recession.
Right.
There wasn't hiring, there wasn't development going on. So, I had an opportunity to join Panattoni. Initially, I actually turned it down because
Oh, really?
I was happy where I was at brokerage.
I like it here.
But after further contemplation and talking with mentors, I said, "Oh, yeah, this is really a good opportunity. I think you should really consider it." So that's where I ended up, and I'm glad I did. So I was there at Panattoni from 2011 till January of 22, when I left to open up the first SoCal office for Scanel.
What you did at Panattoni is what you're doing now at Scanel.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why
Yeah,
why industrial development? Because going from an office tenant rep to industrial developers, that's two totally different animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
two totally different things. But it just kind of fell in my lap. I didn't know anything about industrial. I didn't have a construction background. I didn't have an industrial brokerage background.
Right.
I didn't have an engineering background.
Right.
I didn't have a finance background.
Right.
So I
going.
knew very little.
Keep going, Jay. Keep going. What else did you have? Keep going.
I knew very little
Okay.
going into it. So I think that's a good, I guess lesson for folks. I mean,
Yeah.
if you really find something that you love doing and you work hard at it and you put in the time to learn it, you can achieve the goals that you set.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Like I said, I didn't know anything going into it, and I started at the very bottom, and then just over time, I started to pick up some skills here and there, and then as more things I felt that I mastered or at least had good knowledge of, then I added another skill set, and so it just started building upon each other until I got to the point where I was like, okay, yeah, I feel confident I can go out and do this more on my own to some extent.
Right.
And that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to open up an office. I wanted to build a team, build a culture, and grow really from the ground up. So I was employee number one for the SoCal office, and look to continue growing the office over the years here for Scanel.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, man. And how's it going so far?
Yeah, no, it's been going great. I'm very happy and excited that I have made the move and all that. I've learned so much. The market hasn't exactly cooperated, as you know, but we have no control over the market. The market is what it is, and we just make the best decisions we can with the information we have, and keep pushing forward. Because this whole thing will end when it ends. And like I said, we just don't have control over what happens, and no one knows too. No one knows what the kind of future holds with what's going to happen in the market. But we can control what we can control. Our attitude and our work ethic, and just come every day prepared to push and to make things happen.
Stay hard.
Even in this environment, because there's deals going to be had in any environment. So whether it's up or down, the market's the market.
This is the best time to go into the D&I part of commercial real estate. So obviously, you being a Filipino industrial developer, I mean, how many more are there like you? Probably one or two more in the country.
Yeah. I every once in a while I've met maybe one or two here and there. There's I think another developer in my market as well.
Okay.
But probably outside of us, I don't think there's many more. I think there's a couple in the Bay Area that I've met through LinkedIn.
Hey, that's that
But other than that, yeah, just there's not a lot.
How would you say the industry as a whole has been doing with the D&I efforts they probably instilled, 2, 3, 4 years ago? Are you satisfied? Do you think you can do more? And what are you and your company doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can always do more. I mean, because I think there's kind of maybe a bit of a stigma. Oh, we only hire because of their person of color, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I think when you do look at the applicants and the people of color that are applying are actually very overqualified, I think, in some instances.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like I said earlier. I mean, there's a bit of a stigma, but I think that's because you hear about the woke kind of thing, but I think diversity is a lot more than that, because I wouldn't hire only military people, because then I would only get military perspective, right? I love the military. I love the military work ethic and the veterans that are in the industry.
Right.
And but I don't know if that would be the best for the team, right? To have everybody have that exact same background.
Right.
So I as I build a team, I think I would like people from kind of different perspectives, because with different backgrounds and different ways of growing up and all that, you have different ideas that you can bring to the table, different life experiences.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily mean a race thing. It's just more of just diversity of thought. And naturally that also happens because of people who grew up in different parts of the country and all that. So I think that's an important distinction to make.
Right.
Because I think when some people, when they hear diversity and inclusion, they automatically, no, we don't want that, right? But I think as a team, you do. I think you want the diversity of thought, diversity of background, so you can come up with all these creative ideas. And I've seen that in live and in person, like in the military, because everyone's different.
Oh, yes.
So and we all come together to achieve a common goal.
Common goal. Yep.
And that's the key there.
Okay.
And I mean, I would love to see just more diverse faces and perspectives, because I think that's going to be the key to really growing a team and taking it to the next level once you have those varying perspectives.
All right, Jay. Well, thanks a lot for sharing your perspective, your career, your experience, and everything else with us today. If anybody wants to get in touch with you because they want to be, they have that military background like yourself, especially with the Navy, or they want to be a industrial developer, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Sure. I think the best way is just through LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So I believe I'm the only Jay Tanjuan on LinkedIn. So if you just do a search, first name Jay, last name Tanjuan, I'll be there, and I'll accept your requests. So would love to chat further about anything we discuss.
Right. Okay, Jay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And again, thank you for your service.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Niles. Thanks for having me.